Hello everyone. In today's video, we are discussing CPU scheduling algorithm. The algorithm we are discussing today is FCFS. From the name, you can understand this is first come, first serve. That is, the processes which are arriving first for scheduling will be processed first. And CPU scheduling is nothing but providing the processes for execution to the CPU. So we have to decide the sequence in which this processes should be scheduled. There are two strategies. The first one is we have to see arrival time, that is the time at which process is arriving at the CPU. And second thing we have to remember is it is a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. So there are two types of scheduling algorithm. First one is the preemptive and second one is the non-preemptive. Non-preemptive means what? That once the process is provided to the CPU for execution, you cannot preempt that process from execution. That is, we cannot remove that process from CPU unless its execution is get completed. So this is a non-preemptive type of scheduling algorithm. Now let us see, these are the number of processes. There are total 5 processes: P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5. This is the arrival time, that is the time at which these processes are arriving at the CPU. This is the burst time, that is time required for completion of execution of these processes. Now we have to calculate completion time, turnaround time, waiting time and response time. The problem is to be solved with the help of Gantt charts. Gantt charts, here we can see the processes which are arriving at CPU. We have to put it in the Gantt chart. This is the Gantt chart starting from the time unit 0. The very first thing is the process P1 is getting arrived at time 2. So we cannot put this process P1 into the CPU. Now we can check for process P2. Process P2 is arriving at time 0. So we will put process P2 into the Gantt chart, that is we will provide it to the CPU for execution. The time unit required for completion of P2 is 1. So at time unit 1, process P2 is completing its execution. Now we will check which process is arriving at time P1 at time unit 1. So at time unit 1, no process is arriving. P1 and P3 are arriving at time unit 2. So we will have to wait for one time unit. So this is the heart of 1 unit, that is CPU remain idle for 1 unit of time. At time 2, both the processes P1 and P3 are arriving. So we will go sequentially. We will put process P1 into the for scheduling and it is getting completed after 2 units. So at time unit 4, P2 will get will be completing its execution. After that, we will put the process P3 for execution. P3 is already arrived at time unit 2. So P3 is now completing in its execution. P3 is taking 3 units. So 4 plus 3, that is at time unit 7, P3 is getting completed its execution. At time unit 7, process P4 and process P5 are already arrived at 3 and 4. So what we will do is, we will put process P4 for execution. It will be completed after 5 units, that is at 12 it is getting completed, and then we are putting process P5 into the CPU and it is getting completed after unit 4, that is 16. So this is how our Gantt chart is completed. Now we will see how this completion time, turnaround time, waiting time and response time we are calculating. So completion time is the time at which the process has completed its execution. So for P1, the execution is completed at time unit 4. For P2, you can see from the Gantt chart, for process P2, the completion time is 1. For process P3, the completion time is 7. For process P4, completion time is 12. And for process P5, completion time is 16. So simply by seeing the Gantt chart, we can calculate the completion time. Next is the turnaround time. So I have written the formula here. Turnaround time is calculated by using the formula completion time minus arrival time. So for process P1, turnaround time is calculated as, this is completion time, this is arrival time, this is burst time. So CT minus AT, that is 4 minus 2, we are getting 2 here. 1 minus 0, 1, 7 minus 2, 5, 12 minus 3, that is 9, and 16 minus 4, that is 12. So this is what we are getting turnaround time. Next is the waiting time. Waiting time is calculated using formula. The formula for waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. That is, this is the turnaround time, this is burst time. That is 2 minus 2, 0, 0, 2, 4 and 8. And finally, sometimes response time may be asked. Response time is the time for the first time the process got CPU minus arrival time. So we will see for process P1. P1 got CPU for the first time at time unit 2 and the arrival time of P1 is 2. So 2 minus 2 is 0. Same for P2. P2 got CPU at 0 and arrival time of P2 is 0. For P3 got CPU at 4 and arrival time of P3 is 2. So the response time will be 2. P4 got CPU for the first time at 7 and arrival time is 3. So we are getting it as 4. Sorry, 7 minus 3, that is 4. And then P5 got CPU for the first time at 12 and the arrival time is 4. So 12 minus 4, that is 8. And if average waiting time and average turnaround time is asked, in that case we just have to simply add this and divide it by the number of processes. That is, average turnaround time will be 2 plus 1 plus 5 plus 9 plus 12 divided by 5, and average waiting time will be 0 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 divided by 5. So this is how this CPU scheduling problem can be solved. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.